Man, this might be the craziest Thanos video that I've done to date. Yes, I said it. Because I'm going to be talking about the last trilogy from Jim Starlin, the creator of Thanos. And this is his last trilogy before he left Marvel. And just that alone makes me want to add this one to my hard copy collection. And I may need to get more than just one, in case I meet him one day so we can sign them all. And hopefully I'll be so lucky to make that happen. But what I love about this final story that we're getting from Jim Starlin on Thanos, that even though it was written some time ago and there were said to be issues between the release of this series and the Thanos Win series due to a number of similarities, impossible disagreements on the release of either or, as far as which one would come out first, I do have to say that aside from him leaving for having a number of differences with Marvel, I do have to say that I'm glad that this story didn't get tossed with the differences, and that us, the readers, still got the opportunity to read it and to take this different journey with the character. But with this new story that we get with Thanos, the Infinity Siblings, it reaches back to a number of Starlin's earlier works and the reappearances of some characters that we haven't seen for a while, and not just bringing them back like straight out the blue, but with characters like the Hunger who devour different realities, who also first appeared in Thanos Volume 1 issue number 4. When he returns, there's an explanation to where he's been since Thanos has seen him last, and it's not like he appeared just once again out of nowhere, because Starlin does a great job of covering where he's been this whole time. But to kind of gel it together for this character, and just as a refresher for some of you guys, and possibly an introduction for some of you that are pretty new to comics, when the Hunger first appeared in Thanos Volume 1, he had made his way into the 616 reality by manipulating Galactus into using the Infinity Stones to create a doorway for him to cross over into this reality. But the way that he was able to get Galactus to do this was by causing him to believe that if he assembled the Infinity Stones, which were Infinity Gems at that time, but by leading Galactus to believe that these Infinity Gems could put together an answer or a solution that would permanently satiate the hunger of Galactus. And because of that, Galactus followed every step so he just wouldn't be hungry. But personally, I believe I'd enjoy the act of eating too much just to be full without eating. But maybe that's just me. But with Galactus following these plans and building a doorway for the Hunger to cross over, the Hunger started to bleed into their reality, but a majority of this being was cut off when Thanos sealed the doorway. But part of the Hunger was still here, and the part that was still here, and we saw it separate from Galactus in Thanos Volume number 1 and just go off into space, but from that point forward, this parasite was introduced to reality. And since we've seen him last, he's been scouring the universe, struggling to find somebody he could overpower or consume, but for him that took a while because he has to work his way up. Like, he couldn't just grab the Silver Surfer, then boom, move through the cosmos faster than the speed of light. No, he has to find someone who can't fight him off, take over them, go one to the next, and with that method he'll accumulate mass and strength until he's powerful enough to just devour reality as we know it. But the way that this loops around to Thanos, it starts off with his younger brother, Eros. And for Eros, who was on Titan at this time, and he's thinking about his father Mentor and how he was killed by Ultron. And just as a quick reminder, this is not connected with Thanos Wins. Once again, there are similarities, but this series is completely separate. And I just want to put that out there so nobody gets the two kind of mixed up, because some things are the same, but others are different. So as you read it, just keep that in mind so you're not thinking too hard while everything is going on. Because if you do that, you'll just be completely lost. Trust me. But instead, this storyline continues from Marvel OGN, which stands for Marvel Original Graphic Novels. And it was in Marvel OGN where we got Avengers Rage of Ultron. And this is what Infinity Siblings is referring back to, which came out in 2015 and Marvel OGN launched like in 2013. But this is where the reference is pulling from, because it was here in Rage of Ultron where Mentor was killed in front of Eros by Ultron. And in Infinity Siblings, this is what Eros is thinking back to, because when Mentor was alive, he was the one that showed Eros the way. Like when he told Eros that Thanos was a threat, Eros considered Thanos a threat. And he taught Eros plenty of things as far as craftiness and planning, but we never really see those things from Eros because he's usually going after his own pleasure. And anytime that Eros does something with good intention, it's usually because it's someone else's idea. Like when Mentor told Eros that Thanos was an enemy, anything Eros would do to stop Thanos, it pointed back to Mentor. And even when you consider Mentor's death and Eros teaming up with the Avengers after he fled Titan when Ultron took over, Eros ended up besting Ultron eventually in, quote, the Avengers way. because Eros wanted to kill him. But once again, his path of good intention came about by an outside influence. And that's really the impact on his character once his father's gone. Because after Mentor's death and after parting way with the Avengers, Eros finds himself in a place where he has to chart his own path. And these are the things on his mind at this moment as he reflects over the death of Mentor. But while this is happening, Eros is sucked into a gold portal at the same time that two people arrive through a purple one. And the time that these two arrive together is planned precisely, one being a mysterious hooded figure and the other Kang the Conqueror. And when they arrive here on Titan, Kang, he immediately tells the guy like, look, I ain't trying to bump into Thanos, let's do what you need to do and get up out of here. But interestingly enough, the hooded figure came to Titan solely for the purpose of getting the attention of Thanos, because he knew that the portals would have been detected and reported to Thanos at this location, which was significant to him and his brother, and he knew that Thanos would come himself to investigate, and that's exactly what he was counting on. But just before Thanos arrives, he has Kang send him to Starling's bar so he can get Pip the Troll, so he can be present with him when he meets Thanos on Titan. And as far as Kang, like I mentioned, Kang ain't trying to have nothing to do with Thanos, so he just got up out the way. And as a matter of fact, he went into the future to monitor the outcome of the circumstances planned. And when Thanos arrives, he finds out that the hooded figure is actually Eros, an older version of Eros, 2,000 years older, and he's traveled back in time to warn Thanos about an event that takes place in the year 4657. But Eros didn't witness this event firsthand, but rather when he met Kang 465 years earlier than the event that would take place, Kang crash landed on this unnamed planet where Eros offered him parts of his ship so that Kang could repair his ship and they both could travel back in time to prevent the incident. And I know at this point some of y'all probably wondering, well, what was the incident? What happened in 4657? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because with Kang already being from the 42nd century, he does a number of time jumps, not only short jumps into the past to change his present, but he also jumps into the future to monitor it so he can stay ahead. And when he jumped forward into the year 4657, he noticed a dark entity consuming reality. And without getting too close, he sent probes in to investigate, only to find out that it was a number of shadowy figures fighting against a version of Thanos who was unimaginably more powerful than the Thanos of the 20th century. And seeing this completely blew his mind. Like, he knew he had to do something about it, because if these shadowy figures feed off of reality, then what he gonna rule? So to prevent it, he went back in time, tracing back the origin of when these dark creatures began. And this brought him back to a planet named Zelchia, to where he knew a teleporter would be the first that this spread would originate from. So he went back far enough, killing the first teleporter, hoping to prevent this from happening, but that didn't work because after so many years, another one from this planet would start to teleport. The mutation would eventually come. But when he realized that that didn't work, he's like, okay, I gotta return to the future, study this dark entity, and figure out something else. But when he returned to the future where it was, he had got too close, because previously he had sent in the probes. But this time when he got too close, they started eating the ship. So out of fear of being consumed and erased from reality, he just jumped into time travel with no destination set. And he lands on an unnamed planet 2,000 years from now. And this right here is pretty important, because when he jumps into time travel with no destination set, he's traveling through eternity. So keep that in mind. But he arrives here at the year 4012, which is 2,000 years from the present, and also on the same unnamed planet that Eros is on. And this is actually where and how they meet, because here in the year 4012, this Eros that Kang the Conqueror meets, he had been missing from Titan for the past 2,000 years, and he helped Kang repair his time machine with parts from a ship that he had at his disposal. And when they repaired Kang's ship, that's how they returned back to the present time. And as Eros is having this private conversation with Thanos, telling him where he's been and how he got back, he also tells Thanos that he exiled himself. One of the reasons being to avoid the time paradox of meeting his present self, but also so he could become what he is now. But he even goes further to explain to Thanos that the present time Eros, that he's been placed far away, so far that it will take the present Eros 2,000 years to return back. And in my opinion, this really raises a brow about Eros, because with his present self being distanced far enough away that he would appear back at this specific date, it just ever so slightly nudges that hint that he has an extra ace up his sleeve. And it also makes you wonder, what else has he been doing with all that time? Just something to think about. But that'll do it for this one, guys, and we're definitely coming back to this one real soon, because not only are we on the verge of seeing the craziest change for Thanos, but I believe possibly for Eros as well. But let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comments, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.